Welcome to a special episode of Unsportsmanlike Conduct. Ben, Cameron, how you doing?
Good,
Feeling good.
fellas.
Is that a
I've got a
back
it's a back scratcher, or as my nephew calls it, it's a butt scratcher,
Oh my
which
god.
no one else is allowed to use it.
Except for you.
Just me. But it also doubles very well when you're trying to be stern and you want to be like the old middle school teacher being so just so you know, I'm ready for the discussions tonight. Ready to
Man,
lay down that law.
well, we're off to a strong start. So, we're going to get right into the purpose of this episode where we had league reset. We got some things to talk about, some proposals that were presented to the league. And anything, just to remind everybody, any proposals that we want to vote on that will not require a unanimous vote for the change has to be done before August 1st. Once we hit August 1st, any new proposals will require a unanimous vote for us to make a change. Right now, it's just majority vote, not a tie. If there's a team that has a co-manager, for example, Ryan and Mark, they count as one vote. They both do not get a vote. I do think going into this year, they are the only team that has a co-manager. Rob is stepping away this year, but he may be back in the future. He's just way too busy with his work. So, with that, we got 4 topics tonight that we're going to talk about. First one is the switch from Yahoo to Sleeper. Next one's no kickers. Third one is additional IR spots. And then the last one is the continuous daily waivers. So before we get started, though, Ben, Cameron, any quick comments about this off season? Anything?
First, let me just say, when I did that hand smack thing, that hurt way more than I let on. Like it is red, red, red. There is a mark. It hurts. So just getting that out of the way.
It's kind
So
of
when
like
you
the
see me doing that, you know why.
okay. It's kind of like the butt whooping the Chiefs took in the Super Bowl, right?
Hey Mitch, do me a favor, spell unanimous.
Unanimous. Don't have to if you're the champ. I love you, Ben. All right, we're gonna get going right into the first one here. Or Cameron, just make sure you got anything.
No, I'm just excited for football.
Me
Me too.
too.
Me too. All right. So earlier this month, this is talking on the switch from Yahoo to Sleeper. I presented this change to the league, and I did share a list of pros and cons, which I'm going to kind of go over and elaborate a little bit more. Cameron, Ben, I want you guys to interject. I'm kind of sponsoring the first proposal here. The biggest con to this change, just to start off with, is the change of the bonus point structure. If I could make it be in Sleeper, it would be the exact same. This is the big sticking point. I like the bonus point structure the way that it was, or the way that it currently is technically. I don't want to change it. I wish I keep it the same, but because of how Sleeper does their bonus point structures, I would have to find a way to change. So then comes the question, Mitch, why do you want to change? Well, I'm going to kind of go over that. So bonus point structure, that's the biggest con of this. That would have to change. But some pros, from my opinion, the UI is better. That's purely my opinion. Other people might have other opinions that they like Yahoo better, and that's perfectly fine. I do think, there's value for me as commissioner of this league and also the Dynasty League that I run, that it's just all housed in one app. So a little bit selfish on my end. It makes my world a little bit easier from week to week with everything that I do for this league and the other one, and then also the podcast. That's all selfish reasons. Some true facts, though, reasons why this is would be pros to switch to Sleeper. The draft. So every year I've been purchasing additional software for us to do the draft that would allow those that can't be there on site to do it remotely. And then we could set the timer, I could pause the timer, etc. In Yahoo, we can't do that. It's hard set, a minute and 30 seconds, unless that's changed. I don't think it has. but you are really limited to what Yahoo provides. So we've always had to find a different way to go about it. Now with Sleeper, that could be customized. You can do it remote. The commissioner can stop the timer and set the timer to whatever he wants. So all the flexibility that we had there in the custom software, I could do inside of Sleeper. And then as an additional pro, there's no more waiting for me to put all the players into Yahoo. That was always a pain in the butt for me, which I was fine doing. And once again, I'll be fine doing again if that's what it comes to. But this would make my life a whole lot easier. So basically, draft is done. We're ready to go. Off to the races. Other pros with Sleeper app. I don't know about you guys. I use it for my daily football news anymore whenever it comes to my team specifically, and then just fantasy football injuries, etc. I don't use it much more outside of other sports or whatnot. Inside the app, I think it's a better tool to actually communicate within the league. Not saying that we'd get rid of Discord, but the possibility would open up for that, to where we could get rid of Discord, except for maybe stuff with this podcast. Just have all discussions inside of Sleeper. And then there's a lot more customization inside that app versus Yahoo. We could change things faster. And then another big key for this being a keeper league, one of the things I find frustrating, I can't look at my team in the middle of the off season. In Sleeper, you can. Your team is there all year round. You could go in there, see, you could chat all year round inside that app. And that's something that Sleeper or that Yahoo doesn't provide. And really, like, the only con that I mentioned is the bonus point structure. Here in a moment, I'll kind of go over my proposed bonus point structure again briefly, or I just might direct everybody to what I put in Discord, but I want to open this up to Ben and Cameron. And first, maybe outside of the bonus point structure and then just the UI, if that's your personal preference, is there anything else that you see as a con first if we moved over to Sleeper?
Well, it's funny you caveated it with those two things because I mean, those are the obvious two cons, right? I saw Ben pointing at himself when he said he thought the Yahoo UI was better. I tend to agree, just in terms of simplicity of working the app. The Sleeper throws a lot at you, like you have ADD or something. I don't know. It
It
throws a
does.
lot at you. Where Yahoo is just a lot cleaner. Again, that's a personal preference thing. In the end, in my opinion, it, they're close enough. I think we would all be able to adjust to Sleeper. And then I know you said don't talk about the bonus points, but I know this is a national podcast with hundreds of thousands of views, and Sleeper developers watch this. Sleeper developers, why do you have so much customization for scoring and structure? And the only thing you ratchet down and make that it has to be one way is the bonus points. It makes no sense to me why they did that and why they didn't open that up as well. So that's just a little complaint. But
I
uh,
agree.
no, and the third thing I'll say, it's not a con. It's just maybe a counterpoint to the software aspect that we pay for. Again, it's a little awkward for me to bring it up because I'm not the one that enters in everyone's teams. That's you, Mitch. So I know that's an inconvenience for you, but there's nothing saying that we couldn't draft within the Sleeper app, um, and then just delete that league and put everybody's teams into Yahoo if we stuck with Yahoo. So I think at the very least, if even if we do nothing, maybe at least we save whatever it was, $50 or whatever we spent on that software.
Yeah, it was about 30 bucks on
There you
average, and
go.
that is a valid point. That is something that we could do this year, in the interim. That would save us a little bit of money. It just really becomes down to preference, and so all those no, so that comes out of the rolling pot total from year to year, not
Right,
some. Well, so I buy it, but it comes out of the rolling pot. I get refunded,
right.
so to say. And we're going to talk about the bonus points here in a moment. But do you see any other cons?
I don't. I mean, most of us are in the Dynasty League, which is in Sleeper. So I think most of us have experience with Sleeper. And I'd say all the pros that you mentioned, I would agree with. most, if not all, of the pros. It's just the personal preference aspects. Yeah.
Ben?
So I'll jump in now and say that I pretty much agree with Cameron on all that. Really, I don't really think that the UI is better on Sleeper. I think it's a little bit more intuitive with Yahoo than it is on Sleeper. I mean, I've got 4 leagues on Sleeper right now, and I've got 3 on Yahoo right now.
Man.
That's
I know,
insane.
entirely too many. It's entirely too many. But I think that like Mitch, what you said with keeping up on updates, I 100% use Yahoo more for that than I do Sleeper. I will check stuff
Oh,
on Yahoo, then go over to Sleeper and fix what I'm going to do there. Um,
okay.
so there's that. Um, I do agree with you that in terms of drafting, Sleeper is far, far better. Like it's just overall, it's more customization, more control. So for drafting purposes, it is a clear cut winner on that for me. Um, but I will say that the post draft stuff, uh, you're getting your Yahoo grades on the draft when you do a sleeper draft. So you miss out on some of those things. And I know that the Yahoo grades after we finish drafting, that's what everyone sits there and waits to see what they got. So it's like a fun little thing that happens post draft. You got to decide
It
if
is.
that's one of those little things that you'll miss, you know?
Would Sleeper not do something like that?
I'm not for sure if they do or not. Right now I don't think they do, but to be honest, I don't look for it. I do know that they have like some other embedded apps that does a review on stuff, so there might be a way. But until I actually look at that to see if that's an option, I can't answer that with confidence. I would like to think
I
there's
mean,
something, but once again I can't say that with confidence.
our commish could give us grades, I guess.
I
If we
mean
go
that
to Sleeper, you won't have all this time taken up putting in our teams. That'll give you time to look at everybody's teams and give us a grade, maybe.
that would be a great podcast episode.
So I'm going to throw in one last thing that Mitch mentioned about as a pro for going to sleeper, which is the ability to chat, talk, all that stuff. To me, that is actually a con because again, having 4 teams on sleeper, I'm getting notified every time that somebody does something. I don't want it. I don't care that you drop something. I've tried to change these settings so many times. My phone just goes ping, 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 ping because somebody's just dropping 7 players at a go or something. And
Sure.
it's like their team sucked anyway. They should just drop their entire team. But again, it's that I don't actually want to be constantly notified of anybody's little things. Like especially with what I do these days. I'm getting constant messages all the time. So I will tell you right now that I pretty much mute everything, and I will go check it maybe once a week in terms of the messaging. It's just not an important factor to me at all. So
And I get that, and you're probably not the
just
only
saying,
one like that too. So,
yeah.
and just to reiterate, it would give us that possibility to communicate in there. That doesn't mean that we have to. If
Hmm.
I'll say if people love Discord, I have my own reasons for us to continue using Discord the way that it is, just from year to year tracking and whatnot. I use it outside of fantasy football too, so it doesn't really change my world much, anyways. It's just there as an option. So, um, I
So
think it
that
would
was
help if
actually
you were doing in trade discussions. I think that's where we might see value for it versus texting people or whatnot. You just do it right there in the app if you want.
that actually might be one of the factors too. When we're talking about pros and cons, I do feel like the evaluations of trades, like projections and stuff, I feel like Yahoo has a better system for that, for trying to actually like when you're looking at what they're projected, what they can do. I
Oh,
actually
the
think
side by side comparison stuff. It's
But again, that's just UI. That's
sure.
preference. You know.
Um, I know. So just for the sake of time, I know I'll just direct people to look at my current point structure, and also to remind people too. One thing that's been so great about this league, I verified. We started in 2006, where I was commissioning this league. Our formula is pretty dang perfect, close to where it needs to be. I don't want us to make changes just for the sake of change. I want us to make changes if it makes sense. Like I said, perfect world bonus points aren't getting changed. This is the biggest thing, and if this thing doesn't pass because we all love the bonus points where they're at, that's fine. I mean, that was stuff that we've tweaked over the years, that we've refined, that we really really like. And if we stay in Yahoo because of that, that's okay. I'll just lose maybe a couple tiers, but I'll be okay. Um, So I just want to remind everybody as we're going through these to keep that in mind. We want this league to be fun. We want it to be competitive. We want it to have a form of thrill, and we don't want it to spiral out of control. Don't change what's not broken. Just tweak things if it makes sense. So, we have three more to go to, and I'm not going to lie. I think with the fourth one we're going to talk about, it's going to have to circle back to this one that we just talked about, too, in order to make it work. So, we're going to go ahead and propose or get to the next proposal. This was put in by Steve. I think there's been chatter about this for years. Orsolin's been the most vocal about it. But no kickers. Just going to open it up. No
I'll
kickers.
go first. I'll go first, Ben. I know you got a lot to say, so I'll make mine quick. Uh, I feel pretty indifferent when it comes to kickers or no kickers, to be honest with you. I don't think it's any secret. Anybody that's played in this league long enough with me knows that I don't really care about kickers when we have them because I typically don't have one until Sunday afternoon. So, uh, for my own personal benefit, if you want to call it that, I I like that we have kickers because I utilize the extra roster spot for other things. Um, I don't think that's a good justification for me to say I want to keep kickers, though. So, uh, just to give you an idea where my perspective is before Ben goes, if it was proposed we should get rid of kickers, I would probably be fine with getting rid of kickers. But again, it wouldn't cause me a lot of grief if we kept them. So
Ben?
I want to hear a good reasoning as to why we should get rid of them because we've been discussing this for probably at least a decade now. And the biggest proponents for getting rid of it still can't give me a true reason other than it's just luck.
so
And I'm
yeah.
going to go ahead and say that there is strategy to kickers. There's 100% a strategy to kickers. Cameron literally just highlights a strategy to having kickers on your roster. That is one of the ways to use it. But you can't tell me that there's not a strategy because you go and pick your kickers based on what you think that offense is going to do. You literally pick it because you think I could see a scenario where this is a high scoring team. They're going to be in the red zone very often, probably going to lead to some potential field goals. So it just doesn't make any sense to me because I still don't feel like there has been significant rationale given to it, other than we've got some people who've been burned by kickers badly and they blame their entire losses on that. I'm not pointing fingers, but there was a giant Rams fan in our league, and I went and picked up the Rams kicker. He scored over 30 points in that game to give me the win over him. So you can't tell me there's not strategy on that. Now, your definition of strategy might be something. Did I go pick up that kicker just because I wanted to spite him? Yes. But spite is a strategy too, folks.
It's
So
mental warfare.
Yeah, I mean, things like weather play a factor too, if you're in a dome or not, things like that. But I, if I'll advocate for the other side, I would just say it's the wrong argument to make that there's no strategy. I think the correct phrasing would be it is the only position that we have today that is not guaranteed to get on the field. So it's not that there's not a strategy, and I think this team's gonna have more opportunities to kick versus the weather's better here. This is a dome or whatever the case may be. It's the fact that there is no guarantee that they will be on the field. Where things like a running back, a quarterback, even a defense, you know they're going to at least have an opportunity. Now, unless you're starting a fourth string running back that hasn't had a touch yet, but I think when you're talking in terms of that, you're looking at a position that uses. I mean, you'd have to dig down, I don't know, 40 places in running backs to find someone like that. Where a kicker, I could have the best kicker. I'm just going to throw one out. Chiefs kicker. Maybe he's been on a tear for 3 weeks. It doesn't matter how skilled he is. There could be a potential that he never gets on the field. So again, I don't think it's a matter of there's no strategy. I think it's just this is by far the most variable position because you do not have a guarantee that they get on the field. So that would be the argument, I think.
I get that's
Ditto
an
on
argument.
that.
I get that that is an argument. I just don't think that that's a reason to eliminate a position that when they started fantasy football, they included this. When you go set a DraftKings lineup, you can pick a kicker, you can pick a defense. So I guess in that way, I'm almost asking why we think we know better than the people who created the game.
I think it would, again, it's all personal preference, right? I think
Right.
you're I think you would maybe be advocating more for more variability, more, I don't want to say unknown, that's not the right word, but more uh, maybe excitement because there's this unknown of I don't know what's going to happen versus maybe the other side would say I want it to be much more. I do my research. I know this person's had this uptick in touches and it's projecting this direction. Therefore, I'm going to start this player versus this player. Where the kicker is like, I don't know, they might kick some, they might not.
It,
Yeah,
it
but
almost goes with the sorry to butt in here. It almost goes to the argument of if you like the idea of bonus points, that excitement, the unpredictability of that, you kind of get that with kickers too. Now, just for the record, me, I'm indifferent. I'm not going to lose sleep over whichever way this goes with kickers, etc. In the Dynasty League, I don't have kickers or defenses, and I could share my reasons for that later. But kickers can be fun. They're people
oh,
too, according to AJ.
we've I think we've all been in that scenario where everybody on your team has played, all you have left is your kicker, and you're down. Like, are you not sitting there praying and be like, man, I hope my kicker has that one amazing game this week? That's the excitement. That's the whole point. You like that rush. Do you really just want to be playing a game every week where you just constantly know you're going to win, set it, forget it? Like, you watch the games for a purpose. And this is, again, just a game. So, I like having that not
Wild
knowing.
card. Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
wild card's the right way to say it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
But that's what I'm saying.
just your bonus point analogy, I would say it's a little apples and oranges just because to get
A
bonuses
little bit.
at the other positions,
Well, they're
you,
guaranteed to
you
play,
need a lot of
generally.
opportunity.
Yeah. No, I
So,
get that.
I
I
mean,
get that.
it's not quite the same thing, but I do get this. It is a big boom of points that, why did this one extra yard get me 5 extra points when it's only worth point 1 point all the other times? But they're a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then I will do the other side of what I argue too, which, I brought it up in this Discord channel too, which is when it comes to the kicking thing. Look, I'll join in on the let's get rid of kickers thing but I think that you need to recognize that defenses are about the same. Yes, they're on the field way more than a kicker, but a kicker typically can create more points than a defense can right now. Like, let's be honest. A typical defense is going to score what? Somewhere between 0 to 10 points,
Yeah,
right?
I'd say 8
Yeah.
probably
I'd
is.
say it's closer to 6 on most weekends.
That could be. I mean, yeah, I'm not
as
gonna
as
fact
an
check you.
average.
So, and I'm saying, like, with that, okay, a kicker just has to kick 2 field goals, roughly, 3 field goals, or some extra points to completely offset that. So, what truly are you getting out of the defense? I think that if you eliminate one, you should eliminate both. Because, like you said, Mitch, we've got the other league. Have you noticed any difference in terms? Has it changed the game for you in a league where you don't have kickers or defense? So I guess my question is, what's the difference of just getting rid of kickers or just getting rid of both?
My argument, or the reason why I got rid of those two positions inside of the Dynasty League, they're not exciting positions. They're not exciting positions to draft.
Mhm.
They do come with some unpredictability, and just from my observations over the years, I see more frustrations on people losing because of a kicker in defense versus the excitement you might get out of a wide receiver or running back or quarterback blowing up. Those are a little bit more expected when they blow up. Whenever a kicker defense scores you north of 20 points, the other person immediately looks at it, unless they got completely blown out. It's like, I did my job. I lost because they the quarterback on the other team decided to rib cage it or give it to the other team for whatever reason. Now, I'm not going to argue that there's no strategy, because there's strategy in doing those things. So I think it's really more of one of those. It's kickers and defenses. Are they fun? Are they fun to have? And for the Dynasty League and what I wanted to do with it, I looked at those positions that they're not needed. And honestly, it was a great opportunity for me to see how that worked, to see what would happen with this keeper league, to kind of give me a taste. For the longest time, I was always like, "No, we should keep kickers. That's part of the game." And until the NFL gets rid of kickers at some capacity, it should be in fantasy football. Same thing with defenses, but we don't do defensive players, but that's a whole different topic. So th- they're not exciting positions. Starting a new league, that was the time to give it a go, and any kind of issues that could have arisen from it would have been limited, because it's not like we're eating up extra roster spots. We just essentially eliminated.
And I
So
think that kind of makes my case there, man, which is we went and set up this whole other league and we gave it a trial run. And I don't think anyone can say that they've been negatively affected somehow by getting rid of both. Because I mean that is the point here. Getting rid of both. They're not skill positions. So why do we really care about them at all?
Yeah, so I mean, the big difference in Dynasty is that it's a lot longer outlook, right? It's your whole team, and in theory, you're looking at your team forever, unless you make a trade or something like that, drop players. Where redraft or keeper, what we do is a lot more week to week. So certainly, I'm not excited about the Philadelphia Eagles defense for the next 6 years. That's
I
that's
mean,
not
I
something
am.
that well, okay, whatever. Or Justin Tucker, or and probably not excited about Justin Tucker anymore either. But it Dynasty is a completely different animal, obviously,
It
than
is.
this. And
It is.
and I'm not saying that I'm dead set on keeping defenses or kickers. I'm in leagues that have one, both, and neither of them, and they're all fine. Um, I would say again, the big difference between kicker and defense, to Ben's point earlier, is one's guaranteed to get on the field and the other's not. So that's the big difference. I would say they're more or less strategy for both. They're highly variable positions. So certainly there is strategy to some degree for both, but again, you can't really the same way you can predict a Saquon Barkley touchdown, you can't really predict a Detroit Lion defensive pick six. You know, like their kickers and defenses are very hard to predict. So again, I think it comes down to, do you want a lot of variability? Do you want this level of um, swinging one way or another with these two positions, or do you want to just say, I just want skill positions? So
All I'm
sounds like
saying is the argument there is again about variability, and I think both of those two are lumped in. So to me, the real question is, do you want to get rid of defenses and kickers, or do you want to just keep it? I think it's silly to single out one because I think that both of them are, as we kind of put it, wild cards. So either you want the unpredictability, the variables that you can't control, or you don't. And Mitch, I'll even throw out one of your favorite terms here because you could
Wombo combo.
eliminate those two. What?
What, wombo combo?
No, no. You're
Oh,
gonna
come
be
on.
you're gonna be mad as soon as I say this. So, but you could eliminate both those positions and have a super flex.
Get that out of here. Get that out of here.
But
Use
see,
your back scratcher.
that makes the case for somebody who's definitely going to see time on the field. That is the point, right? So I just think that there's a lot more to these conversations that need to take place, as opposed to, like I said, I've been getting the same arguments for years now. So, you
Well,
know, I
this
do
is
this for a
why.
living.
Yeah, and this is why I want to get chatter going in Discord, and why we've talked over the years on some of these things too. So Ben, I do want to ask you a direct question, because depending on how this gets proposed, I mean, either it's either one or two ways that this gets proposed for vote. Do we vote just no kickers, or do we vote just no kickers and no defenses, or do we vote no kickers, and then if that passes, you're proposing, if this passes, I want to put on the ballot, or for us to vote to also remove defenses. So let me
Well,
ask you this, because this is going to be a talking point. I could see this kind of being a challenge for some people. Some people, they might be like, no, either we get rid of both or we keep both. I'm not going to be okay just getting rid of kickers. And I feel like that's where you're at. Okay, so I guess let me ask you this. Uh, well, I'm going to challenge you. So in Discord, I would encourage you to start that discussion, get feelers out for that, because that might be
oh,
what you have Steve officially proposed, to remove defenses and kickers. And then let me ask you this: if you don't get that, are you going to put in the amendment, or be like, hey, if this passes where kickers get removed, I want to put in a vote to also remove defenses?
Mitch, let me tell you about something at my time working in politics, okay? So have you ever heard of initiative petitions?
I have a
Uh,
feeling, yes. In my mind, I'm not thinking of the right words. I think I know what this is, though.
so what this is people get together and get enough collected votes to put something on the ballot. Then that gets voted on by the voters. And it's an amendment. You all know about amendments. You vote on them every time we go to the polls. And sometimes what happens is we have multiple amendments on the same issue. A perfect example of this was when we had the medical marijuana issue years ago. And what happens there, whenever if you pass, say, three things with basically dealing with the same thing, if they don't work together, then the one that has the most votes is the one that goes into effect. So what I'm saying is, I will throw every single quote amendment at you, and I will force a vote on every single one of them. And one of those will be an amendment to Steve's proposed amendment. Then I would have a second amendment, which would be for both to go. So covering bases. And then in that moment, I would refer to parliamentary procedures and say that at that point, you probably have to go with whichever one has the most votes. That does mean if it's just the kickers one that has more votes, then yeah, I have to bite my tongue and just accept it.
Okay,
But
so if I'm following correctly, I'm going to try to uh, dumb down the language a little bit for those that may have struggled through that, like I did a little bit, but I think I followed. So we have 12 votes total anytime that we vote on something. We have to have a majority vote in order for a change to happen. Now, in the event we have at least 7 of those votes voting at some capacity for kickers to get removed, that will pass, and then it will then weight towards which one had more. Is it just no kickers, or is it no kickers and no defenses? Am I following that correctly?
so what I'm saying is you're actually going to have 3 amendments here, okay? You'd have Steve's, which says no kickers.
Yeah.
You would vote on that. And let's say, give me a number, what you think that'll be.
Uh,
4.
What?
4.
I'm going to say
4 in
8.
favor?
Yeah.
All right. 8 in favor. Let's say 8 in favor.
8.
All right. So 8 in favor. It passes, right? But then I've put another amendment, which is an amendment to Steve's amendment, which says that if that passes, then we must also vote on whether to get rid of defenses. So if that passes, like, with 7, then yeah, we just got rid of both. But then there's the other amendment that I put forward, which is not attached to Steve's, which would say, as a secondary option to those, here's an amendment that gets rid of both defenses and kickers. Now, if the kicker thing passes with 8 and my little both amendment says only 7, then it means I have to just deal with it. Now, if the other one I proposed where it says we're going to get rid of both, that gets 9, well, you've accomplished the same thing. You're getting rid of kickers, but you're also getting rid of defenses.
Okay.
So,
So it was close to what I initially said. I missed a key detail. If you put in an amendment to be like, hey, I want to add this to it, it would need to at least meet or exceed the original vote for that to pass. Otherwise, it wouldn't.
well, no, by your rules, it has to be just a simple majority. So, again, think of it as Amendment 1 and Amendment 1A and Amendment 2. So, 1A would just need another simple majority. If it fails, it fails. But then
And then
I've
it
put
ends
another
there.
amendment out there. But there's another amendment out there that one would also need a vote, which would probably be dumb if I lose on that one. Like, but it's about putting an option out there. Like I said,
Okay.
it's probably not worth the effort because the
I,
first
yeah.
1 and
I,
1A will tell you what it is.
right. I got a feeling people are going to be pretty cut and dry on what they think. I mean, to Mitch's point earlier, we've talked about this so much uh, over the years. I think people are in general pretty squarely in whatever camp they're going to be in. So
Oh
uh,
yeah.
it could probably be as simple as if this, then we vote on, if kickers, getting rid of kickers passes, then we vote on defenses too. Um,
Yeah.
would be my guess.
Okay. That is likely what we'll do, and honestly, we might do that sooner than later. We'll probably honestly, guys, we'll probably put that to an August 1 vote because that is not dependent. The no kickers isn't dependent on anything else, really.
But it does affect the draft very much.
Oh, it does,
Yeah.
and that all these things that we vote on have to be done before the draft.
Yep.
Yep.
So, all right, that was a heavy one. I hope we made our boy Orslin proud. He's
I
probably
don't.
crying. So I mean I really have mixed feelings about the kickers. I'm not going to lose sleep over it either way. Um, if somebody pisses me off about why kickers should get gone, I might just vote no out of spite, like Ben. So just fair warning to people because kickers are people too. Anyways, we're gonna move on to next
Do you
point.
have any? Do you have any quick question? Any rules about like you can't go buy votes or anything like that? I'm not saying I'm going to, but I can't say that I trust the other side on this particular issue.
It's one of those, if you want to waste your money, if you want to stoop to that level and pay people for their votes, do it. Yeah, if
My
you need
vote
money
is
that bad or something
Orson.
that bad, go for it. If it's going to help you sleep
My
better, but it's we're better than that. Like to think we have some integrity.
All
Okay,
right, Mitch, next point.
next point. Additional IR spot. So, Cameron, you proposed this one. Go ahead and have at it.
yeah, pretty straightforward. We're a two keeper league. Um, Adding an additional IR spot in my mind just gives some added flexibility for those situations where you have a potential keeper from the draft and they get a season long injury and you're stuck with this decision of, do I drop this player that I want to keep, throw them to the waivers so that somebody in week 13, 14, 15 can just pick them up and now it's their keeper, um, even though this player is not going to benefit me for the rest of this year. So that was a little bit of word salad, but what I'm getting at is it's just added flexibility to be able to hold on to players that you want to hold on to. Um, I think the counter argument a lot of times with adding any new bench spot, position spot, IR spot is just it's going to deplete what's out there in the waiver wire.
Yep.
I guess what I would say to that is, again, in this scenario I just laid out, and as we know throughout the year, there's going to be season-long injuries, especially, it's not limited to just first-round picks. It's players that you might want to have next year. When you drop those players, it's not adding a player to the waiver pool. No one's picking that player up that's injured for the rest of the year and adding them to the roster to start that year.
Yep.
So essentially, all this is doing is it's not depleting anything from the waiver wire. It's just allowing the individual that drafted or picked up that player initially before they got hurt to retain that player until next year. Um, that's really it. I mean, I'd be happy to answer any questions about that.
Yeah, I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. I do have a counter. Well, to kind of your point that it doesn't really eat into the waivers. I think it does a little bit because I know I've done this. And I've seen other people do this before in the past. Yeah, you have people that hit IR that might be able to play later in the year. They will jump on them weeks ahead, and they will sit on their roster with the purpose of playing them later. So no, is it 12 players off waivers? Absolutely not. I don't think it'd be that. I think it'd be closer to anywhere from 4 to 6. I think that's a pill this league can swallow if we did that. So I see the argument more so in favor of the additional IR spot, but it does dip into that waivers a little bit. Um, I know if you
You made the
guys all
argument for
recall
me.
the
That
year,
was
huh?
Yeah. I said so. You made the argument for me. So essentially, what I'd say to that is basically what you just said. Certainly, anytime you add a new roster spot, there's going to be ways that you can advantageously take advantage of that spot. And it's a matter of fact, some teams are going to be more fortunate than other teams throughout the year. Some teams are going to have no injuries and are going to have two available IR spots in theory to load up on potential future upside with players that are not playing today. Um, but others, less fortunate, are really going to want that second IR spot to say, look, if I have any hope going into next year or potentially to the playoffs in this year, I need that extra buffer to hang on to this player and not just throw him out there to make the rich guy who's already not having any injuries get even richer by
Mm-hmm.
picking up my player and throwing it on his IR. Um,
So I want to make a small counter to this. I just want us to talk about
yeah,
right now with how we have the IR spot currently configured. If they're just set to out or NA or whatnot, you could put them in that spot. What are your thoughts on if we add a secondary spot, they legit have to be on IR? Use the IR spot truly for an IR.
so I think that mitigates some of the concerns, if they are actually concerns. Uh, I don't love getting rid of the full potential of the flexibility that you give
Oh,
all of
sure.
our rosters. Um, but certainly it accomplishes some of what I described. So if it's have a second IR and it only can have an IR eligible player in it, I think that's fine. But I would advocate to have it be a full blown second IR like we have today with our one IR spot.
So I followed everything you did there for the most part. Just so everybody's clear, I don't think I could have one IR spot operate differently than the other IR spot. I think it's either you allow only IR in both those spots, or you open it up to where if they're not playing that week, you could put them in either one. I'd say if there's a way you could lock down one completely to where it's like that, then great. I think that would be an excellent balance to this. But I think those same settings have to be applied to both positions. Unless there's a
And if
different type of IR roster spot, which I don't believe there is. Maybe in sleeper, I'd have to look, but I don't think
That's
there
what I
is in
was
there
gonna.
either.
That's what I was wondering is, you know, if there is a way to basically have variations on the IR spots. Because again, if there was just a way to say that this one spot is only for people who it's like season ending injuries,
Yeah.
I don't think you'd have anybody fight that.
While we're talking,
But
I'm going to look at sleeper. Keep
you
going.
but
you can't, Mitch. Just so you know,
You
yeah.
can't? Okay.
um,
Then I'm not going to look.
so it's all based on you basically set the eligibility of who can go into an IR spot. It's not this IR spot. You can throw these players in and these you can't. So
Okay.
you set it as a whole. Um, so if let's say if the conversation continued and an amendment using one of Ben's words, if it was we we only want to have we want two IR spots, but we only want individuals that legitimately go to IR at the NFL level to be eligible for those slots. I'd rather have just one that we could throw out players in. Again, it's all about flexibility. I don't think it's fun for any of us to look at our rosters, especially during bye weeks, and say, I have to make a decision that's going to hurt me in the long run by dropping this player just so I can have a full starting roster for
Yep.
the week. I I personally think the fun comes from the pre-planning ahead of time and having the flexibility of the rosters to say, look, I did all this planning, all these bad things happened to me.
Yeah.
I'd like to be able to move these players into a slot that allows me to pick up another player. So
Well, for what it's worth, I don't think I'm going to put in the amendment that they should only be in IR. I think there's value in doing that. This is another one of those where I think I'd be fine. Uh, it's I know Cameron, you and I have talked. I've been pretty vocal too with this league about three keepers. I wanted that from the beginning, and having another IR spot that would help plead that case. I know just from talking with a lot of people in the league, there's a reason I'm not proposing it. If there's a lot of people passionate in the league about having a third keeper, please speak up. I'm all for it. You don't have to convince me. But I know most people in this league, they think two is the perfect number in terms of keepers, and that's fine. But if we do start looking into adding spots like this, or even another flex, which that's a whole different discussion that I don't think would be good for this league. I do think we would have to consider a third keeper at that point in time. That's whenever you guys will start seeing me really getting more. I don't have a good way to phrase it, but more pushy, so to say. Like we got to go to three keepers in if we're gonna do this. So.
Three keepers and three IRs.
three quarter.
Amendment. Let's call it 4.
There you go.
All right. Ben, you got any comments about the additional IR spot?
No, actually, I think the reasoning is there in my mind. Um, I'll give you a quick little scenario in one of the leagues I'm in. It's a dynasty, so definitely a different effect on this. But that dynasty league only has one IR spot. And last year, somebody ended up dropping Christian McCaffrey. And so he's still out there on waivers. And in this league, they do the rookie draft. The rookie draft also includes free agents. So whoever's got that first pick can play that game of, do I want to draft a rookie or do I want to take Christian McCaffrey?
Is this the league that I was in and then I left?
I don't remember which one. There's too many sleeper leagues, Mitch. I
There are
can't
too
keep
many,
track.
dang.
But the point is like, to me, that's like a kind of terrifying scenario. I don't know that I could. I think I would have had to just keep Christian McCaffrey and just bleed the season away because,
Jeez.
God, that would hurt to be in this position, you know?
So
So I do think that there's good reasoning to have two IRs. I personally think that I can probably vote for that, but I'm very curious to see what everyone else is thinking on that because, again, Mitch, you did have a good point that whenever it comes to the keeper discussion, there's some very strong opinions on that, and I just don't know if there's as strong opinions when it comes to an IR spot or not. But if there
well,
is, I can't wait to hear it.
and I want to finish this topic with this. If you all recall, the year that COVID was going on, I made a commissioner decision to add a second IR spot because there's just so much unpredictability. And at that point in time, that was even more flexible than what it could be now if this passes. And to my recollection, that did not really cause any issues that I recall having that additional IR spot. So I could be forgetting something. So I think the impact, I think it's more positive than negative with this, just from my recollection. So for those that are really like, oh, this sounds terrible, I don't think it's a bad idea. We've done it at some capacity, and I think it worked. But you guys take
No,
that all for what that's worth.
no, I remember that, and I think that I was a pretty big fan of it. Honestly, I think I got a lot of use out of it. So, yeah, I very much would like to see that as an addition.
Okay. All right. We're gonna get talking about this last point. I will, and so the last point is continuous daily waivers. Now, Cameron, before you get talking on this, I'm gonna kind of tie this back into sleeper. This can be done in Yahoo, but there's going to be some other restrictions. So in Yahoo, waivers clear at 2 a.m. Central Time. There's no way to change that time in Yahoo. There's no control over that. So if we want continuous daily waivers at some capacity and in Yahoo, it is 2 a.m. I'm going to let Cameron elaborate on why that's probably a bad idea. If not, I'm going to do it here in a little bit. In Sleeper, we could actually adjust those timers. We could flex it, for example, on Thursday. Waivers clear at 6 p.m. So if you got players going, then great. And it might be that we do have small free agency periods, if that's something that people want. I know there's some excitement, some randomness to it, but the idea of the continuous daily waivers is everybody's not always readily available to pick up a player in the moment that something like that comes up. But there's ways to limit those windows. So with that, I'm going to hand this off to Cameron. You're the one that proposed this. Go ahead and give us the shake and bake with this.
Yeah, so the original proposal is continuous daily waivers with waivers clearing at 6 p.m. So if you couldn't follow in Discord my novel that I wrote about continuous daily waivers, essentially what that means is the waiver period at the beginning of the week is like we're always used to. Wednesday at 2 a.m. waivers clear. The only difference is at 2:01 a.m. instead of all the available players going to free agency, a brand new waiver period starts. So all those players are back on waivers. If we clear waivers at 6 p.m. going forward, you have kind of a weird half day of Wednesday. So from Wednesday at 2 a.m. to Wednesday at 6 p.m. is a waiver period. Waivers clear at 6 p.m. Wednesday. All available players go back on waivers until 6 p.m. Thursday. All available players go back on waivers until 6 p.m. Friday. All available players go on waivers until 6 p.m. Saturday, where at that point, all available players become free agents until their game starts for the week. So that was a big mouthful, but essentially what that means is it shortens our free agency period from Wednesday at 2 a.m. until the start of the game time to Saturday at 6 p.m. until their start of their game for the week, with waivers clearing every day at 6 p.m. after Wednesday. So the advantage, like Nick pointed out, is it eliminates this imbalance that I personally have taken advantage of for years. Sometimes it's helped me, sometimes it's hurt me by dropping good players, but I'm in a position where I always have my phone in front of me and I always have a Wi-Fi connection. It's just the nature of my job. So if news breaks at 2 p.m. on a Thursday that Jonathan Taylor tore his ACL, I'm one of the first people that have access to pick up his backup if he's available. And although I've taken advantage of that situation throughout the years, I don't think that's right that just because of my situation, I'm able to pick up a player. I don't think that makes the league competitive. I think it gives me or people like me an unfair advantage to those that don't have access to their device. Um, the other point about 6 p.m. that Mitch brought up, I think it could work in Yahoo. It certainly is. It's available in Yahoo, but to Mitch's point, waivers will only clear at 2 a.m. every day. And the only problem that causes is Thursday night games where something happens Thursday, say at 1 p.m., and you have a major player in that game get hurt. You don't have an ability to pick them up. No matter what you do, you cannot pick up a player that's available until 2 a.m. the next day. So 6 p.m. is a nice balance. I've used that in a couple leagues last year. And typically on Thursday night games, you have a very strong understanding by 6 p.m. on whether or not a player is going to play. You don't always know for sure, but you have a really good idea if they're going to play or not.
Mm-hmm.
The other advantage is I think most of us are awake at 6 p.m. typically. Um, so the way it stands now, I know Steve was kind of poking fun in Discord today about picking up free agents at 2 a.m. on Wednesdays, but obviously I'm not awake then. I don't think a lot of us are, so I don't think it's a good balance and a fair way to do things to have people that are awake at 2 a.m. picking up free agents before everybody else. So my cat's meowing in the background. So that's the gist of it. Essentially, all it's doing is trying to even the playing field and give everybody an opportunity to pick up players.
So just my 2 cents on this, but I feel like this could actually make the fab even more important. Like, I mean, you're going to have to be very careful and selective with what you're doing. And in turn, we're not just waiting for that 1 point in the week to use our fab money. It's going to become a daily thing after Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
So, again, in essence, that causes more competition, makes you think a little bit more. It makes it a little bit more difficult. And I think that part of the thing that we want, we've been doing this how long, Mitch? 2006?
Yeah.
So that's 20 years next year, right? So I think we all still want those things to give us nuance and new competitive edges, new challenges. Like, I would say that at this point in our fantasy football careers, we're by no means amateurs,
No,
intermediates. I
I don't
think
think
we're
so.
all playing at what you might call an expert level right now. So it does behoove us to maybe take those next steps. And I do think that this could be fun. It will probably infuriate me at some point, but uh, at the same time, we're always constantly looking for ways to make it better. I mean, the last thing we want is to just be stagnant and get bored with it or anything. So I
Yeah,
think this can
yeah,
do that.
I truly believe in about 5 years, this will be the new standard of picking up players across fantasy football. I think back to the days when we would all be in Mary Ellen's basement watching games with red zone and somebody gets hurt and we
Or
had
we'd be
no waiver
punching each
period at
other before
all.
we go.
It was just free agency. And we look back at that and we laugh because it sounds so silly, right?
Yeah.
That we could be able to do that. I really think that if we made the change to this down the line, we'd look back at what we do today and say, man, that was silly that we had from 2 a.m. on Wednesday until they played the next week. It was just a free for all, and we could just pick up players whenever we want. Um,
Mhm.
I think the only reason we do it today is because that's what we've always done. So, um,
Oh. I want to interject on two things. So in the Dynasty League I run, we do have daily waivers. On Thursdays and Sundays, it's free agents, though. That's how it's currently configured. And then in terms of time, waivers do clear at 2 a.m. That's something that could get changed if we wanted. Um, so it's not new. It's something that we're already doing. In terms of fab budget, yeah, in that league we have 200. The Dynasty League's a little bit different. There's a lot more players off the board. Um, with this, I think the fab budget does stay 100. And then just to remind you guys, you can bid $0. I think it'll add more value to the waiver priority if we did daily waivers. So, I mean, to me, this is something that I'm passionate about. I do think this would be a positive change for the league. I never want people to feel like they missed out on somebody because they were busy working and whatnot. That's not how I want people to miss players and whatnot. I do think at some capacity having a free agency period would be suitable because at that point you've had every chance throughout the week to try to pick up somebody on waivers. You get to Saturday night at 6 a.m. or 6 p.m. All players on free agents, sure, you could wait till then to get that player. If they're gone, they're gone. Or if you waited too long, sorry. Uh, and then the thing with Thursday night games, you got to be a little strategic on it. Um, if you think you might need a player, you might want to put in that waiver bid before 6 p.m. on Thursday, so that way they could be on your roster before the game starts. So, and then just so people know, in case this question comes up, with what Cameron proposed, if free agents start at 6 p.m. on Saturday, there will be some games as we get closer towards the end of the year that's going to be on Friday or Saturday. The NFL is getting more popular to do it. They'll act the same way as Thursday. They will be on waivers until Tuesday, until that initial clear. Tuesday at 2 a.m. or Wednesday at 2 a.m. One of the two. Wednesday 2 a.m. or yeah.
Wednesday, yeah.
So that part still would not change. Um, so with all that, Cameron, is this one of those things that you would want to propose with with the whole Yahoo to sleeper? I'd almost be inclined that this is added to it.
Yeah, it certainly is ideal if it's in sleeper because then you can set that 6 p.m. And again, that's just the number that I'm proposing that worked good in my other league. But yeah, it's certainly not an ideal scenario. Waivers clearing at 2 a.m. every day because then you do get in some pretty sticky situations. So yes, I would say I would want them to be in conjunction with each other. But if enough people want to do it regardless of what platform we do, just know that you may be setting yourself up for a pretty sticky situation on
Oh,
Thursdays.
well, you get to decide how you want to do it. I'm not going to lie. I'll tell you right now, I'll be more than happy to directly integrate it to what I'm proposing. And that could be the thing that knocks it off to where it doesn't pass, or it could be enough to put people over. I think the 6 p.m.'s kicker. I do really like that. Yeah, Dynasty League we do 2 a.m., but I think it's more suitable, or that is fine for that Dynasty League. The 6 p.m. there's
Yeah,
value in trying to get a player last second for a Thursday night game
right.
if need be. So
Yeah, the dynasty we have 30 roster spots or whatever, So
yeah, we got a lot.
uh, yeah, yeah.
So all right, we talked quite a bit. We're just a little over the hour. I don't know if there's any more topics for us to discuss tonight. I will say for all of our amazing listeners, especially those in the league, if you have any more things that you want to propose that's new, that has not been spoken up yet, please put that in Discord, because come August 1, anything new, like new, will require a unanimous vote. If it's something that gets intertwined with what we're already currently talking about, sure. But if we vote on things, then suddenly it's August 5th and somebody's like, hey, I want to vote on this, that's unanimous. It has to be unanimous. Otherwise, right now it's majority vote. So, with that,
Mitch, do you think we should predict the votes?
predict the votes. No.
Like just a yes pass or no fail? I'm not saying we have to do it on this episode, but I feel like we should probably like text each other which ones we think will pass or fail, just so we can see if we were on the money or not, you know?
We might do something like that, but we won't do it on this podcast episode. I don't
No, no,
want to
no.
influence people one way or the other, even if there's some things I want to be selfish about. And to end with this, we've been doing this for 19 years. We've refined the league a lot to get it to a really good spot. Don't vote on change just for change. Only vote on change if you think it makes sense and you think it's what's best for the league. So, want everybody to think on that. And yeah, I'm going to end with that little note. So, Ben, Cameron, any final words?
No, I would just encourage, if you have any questions about what's been proposed, ask it in the Discord. I'm sure the person that
Yes.
proposed is happy to explain or answer a question about it.
And don't be afraid to set initial polls in there. That won't be stuff for voting. I will make sure it's clear, like official vote on this. And we'll get going on those votes here before too long.
My final word, pumpernickel. That's all I got, man.
All right. Well, I hope you all have had a great summer. I'm excited that football season is right here around the corner. And we'll all talk again soon. See ya.
Go Chiefs.